I never thought I'd be here, sitting in the living room of what used to be our house, feeling like a stranger in my own life. My name is Emily, and just a few months ago, I was living what I thought was a happy life with my husband, Mark. We were the couple everyone envied, or so I believed. Mark, once a charming and attentive man, had become someone I hardly recognized. His once warm eyes now seemed cold and distant. It all changed after my dad passed away. Dad was my rock, and losing him felt like losing a part of myself. But for Mark, it seemed like an opportunity. The evening air was heavy as I sat across from Mark, the silence between us a stark contrast to the laughter and love that once filled this room. "Are you even listening to me, Emily?" Mark's voice, sharp and impatient, broke the silence. I looked up, meeting his gaze. "Yes, I'm listening," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's simple. I want a divorce. I've already talked to a lawyer. This house, it's mine. You need to start looking for somewhere else to live." His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I had sensed the growing distance between us, but divorce? I was speechless. "You can't be serious, Mark. After all these years, you're just going to throw everything away?" I finally managed to say, my voice tinged with disbelief. Mark leaned back in his chair, a cold, unfazed look on his face. "It's not just throwing away, Emily. It's moving on. I've been feeling trapped in this marriage. And now, with your dad gone, I see no reason to continue this charade." I felt a mixture of anger and heartbreak. How could he be so cruel, so heartless? My father was gone, and now Mark, the man I had loved and trusted, was abandoning me too. "I don't understand you, Mark. You used to be so different, so caring. What happened to us?" Mark let out a sarcastic laugh. "Oh, please. Spare me the drama, Emily. You should start packing. The sooner you're out, the better." I sat there, stunned and hurt, trying to process everything. This wasn't just the end of our marriage. It was the shattering of an illusion, the illusion of a happy life that I had clung to for so long. And now I was alone, with nothing but memories of a love that turned out to be nothing but a facade. My life, already hanging by a thread, spiraled further into chaos with the arrival of Mrs. Harwood, Mark's mother. She moved in unannounced, bringing with her an air of hostility that choked the already tense atmosphere of the house. "Emily, I expect you to behave appropriately while I'm here," Mrs. Harwood declared, her voice sharp as she settled into the living room, making it clear that she considered herself in charge. I tried to reason with her. "Mrs. Harwood, I understand this is a difficult time for everyone, but I assure you, I have no intention of causing trouble." She fixed me with a cold stare. "Trouble seems to follow you, dear. I've seen how you and Mark have been living. It's no wonder my son wants a divorce." Her words cut deep, but I wasn't about to let her walk over me. "Mark and I are adults. We'll handle our matters ourselves. Your interference isn't needed." She scoffed. "Interference? I'm protecting my son from your manipulative ways. You've done enough damage already." The days that followed were a blur of constant snide remarks and belittling comments from Mrs. Harwood. She criticized everything from the way I dressed to the way I cooked. It felt like she was trying to erase my presence from the house. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, she came into the kitchen. "You're using too much salt. Don't you know anything about cooking?" I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my cool. "I've been cooking for myself and Mark for years. He's never complained." "Well, he's too kind to say anything, but I'm not. You're ruining his health with your terrible cooking." I couldn't believe the audacity of this woman. "Mrs. Harwood, I appreciate your concern, but I can manage." She leaned against the counter, watching me like a hawk. "You can manage, can you? We'll see how long that lasts." Every interaction with her was an exercise in restraint. She had an opinion on everything and wasn't afraid to voice it, loudly and often. It was like she was trying to provoke me, to push me to my breaking point. Mark, for his part, did nothing to ease the tension. He avoided being in the same room with us, leaving me to fend for myself against his mother's relentless attacks. It was clear he had no intention of standing up for me, not anymore. One morning, as I sat at the breakfast table, Mrs. Harwood sat across from me, her eyes cold and calculating. "You know, Emily, it's not too late to leave gracefully. You could save yourself a lot of trouble." I met her gaze, my resolve hardening. I have as much right to be here as you do, Mrs. Harwood. I'm not leaving until the divorce is finalized. She smirked. Stubborn, aren't you? Well, we'll see how long that lasts. Mark doesn't want you here, and neither do I. You're just a guest, and guests can be asked to leave. Her words echoed in my head, a constant reminder of the unwelcome and precarious position I found myself in. But I wasn't about to give up. I had to stand my ground, no matter how difficult Mrs. Harwood made it. The house had become a battleground, and I was determined not to be the one who surrendered. Living with Mrs. Harwood under the same roof was like walking on eggshells. But the day she crossed the line was when she targeted my cat, Whiskers. Whiskers was more than just a pet. He was a part of my world, a comfort in my loneliest times. I came home to find Mrs. Harwood standing in the hallway, a look of disgust on her face as she glared at Whiskers. That filthy animal, she spat. I want it out of my son's house. It's either the cat or you, Emily. I felt a surge of anger. Whiskers isn't going anywhere. He's part of this family. She sneered. That thing is a nuisance. I won't have it shedding and spreading germs all over. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He's a harmless cat, Mrs. Harwood. You're being unreasonable. She moved closer, her voice cold and harsh. Listen here, Emily. I call the shots now. Either that cat goes, or things will get very unpleasant for you. I knew arguing with her was futile. She had made up her mind, and nothing I said would change it. I had to think fast. That's when I remembered my friend Sarah, an animal lover who had always adored Whiskers. I called Sarah, my voice shaky. Sarah, I need a huge favor. Can you look after Whiskers for a while? I'm in a bit of a situation here. Sarah was quick to respond. Of course, Emily. What's going on? Are you okay? I sighed. It's a long story. I'll explain later. But thank you. You're a lifesaver. Packing Whiskers' things felt like a defeat, but I knew it was for the best. As I was about to leave with Whiskers, Mrs. Harwood blocked my path. Finally, some sense, she said, a smug smile on her face. I knew you'd do the right thing. I held back my anger. This isn't over, Mrs. Harwood. I'm doing this for Whiskers, not for you. She laughed. Oh, keep telling yourself that, dear. But we both know who's in charge here. One day, I found my clothes ruined. My favorite dress, my comfy sweaters, everything was bleached. It was no accident. I stormed into the living room where Mrs. Harwood was reading a magazine, looking too innocent. Did you do this? I held up the ruined dress, my voice shaking with anger. She looked up, feigning surprise. Oh dear, what happened to your dress? Don't play dumb, Mrs. Harwood. You put bleach in the wash, I accused. She shrugged, a smirk creeping onto her face. Oh, that. I was cleaning the machine. Must have forgotten to rinse it out. Accidents happen, dear. I was fuming. This wasn't an accident. You did this on purpose. She leaned back, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Prove it, Emily. It's my word against yours, and we both know who my son will believe. I felt helpless and defeated. She was right. Mark would never take my side over his mother's. Later that day, I confronted Mark. Your mother ruined my clothes. You need to talk to her. Mark didn't even look up from his phone. Mom said it was an accident. Stop making a big deal out of everything. I couldn't believe his indifference. She's doing this on purpose, Mark. Can't you see what she's doing? He sighed, annoyed. Look, Emily, I don't want to get involved. Just stay out of her way. Stay out of her way? This was supposed to be my home, too. I realized then that I was alone in this. Mark wouldn't help me. His mother was out to get me, and I had to fend for myself. The destruction of my clothes was just the beginning of Mrs. Harwood's campaign against me. Each day brought a new challenge, a new way for her to assert her dominance and make me feel unwelcome in my own home. I started to notice little things missing or out of place. My favorite mug cracked, my pictures taken down from the walls, small but personal attacks. It was a psychological game, and she was playing to win. One evening, I came home to find the living room in a mess. My books were scattered on the floor, pages torn. I confronted Mrs. Harwood, who was sitting calmly with a cup of tea. Did you do this? I asked, holding up a torn book. She glanced at it, then back at me, with a cold, indifferent expression. "Oh, those old things? I thought they were trash. You should be more careful about what you leave around." I was outraged. "These are my books, Mrs. Harwood. You have no right to touch them." She shrugged, unfazed. "This is my son's house. I'll do as I please. Maybe you should start packing your trash." I felt a burning anger, but also a sense of helplessness. Arguing with her was pointless. She had made it clear that she didn't respect me or my belongings. The next morning, I found my toiletries thrown in the trash. My shampoo, my face cream, everything gone. I dug them out, my hands shaking with anger. This was more than just petty sabotage. It was a declaration of war. I confronted Mark again. "Your mother threw away my toiletries. This has to stop." He barely glanced at me. "Maybe it was a mistake. Just buy new ones." "A mistake? She's doing this deliberately, Mark. Can't you see that?" I was near tears, frustrated by his continued indifference. He stood up, his voice cold. "I'm not getting into this, Emily. Sort it out with her." Sort it out with her? How was I supposed to sort out deliberate cruelty? I tried to keep to myself, to avoid Mrs. Harwood, but she seemed to take my avoidance as a challenge. She'd make loud, snide comments about me on the phone, ensuring I could hear every word. She'd accidentally spill things on the floor I'd just cleaned, watch me as I cleaned up, a satisfied smirk on her face. One afternoon, I found my laptop screen cracked. It was the last straw. I stormed into the kitchen, where Mrs. Harwood was humming to herself. "What did you do to my laptop?" I demanded, my voice shaking with rage. She turned, feigning ignorance. "Oh, did something happen to your laptop? That's unfortunate." "You did this, didn't you? You're trying to make my life hell." She leaned in, her voice a venomous whisper. "You brought this on yourself, Emily. You're not wanted here. The sooner you realize that, the better." Just when I thought things couldn't get worse with Mrs. Harwood, she struck where it hurt the most. My father's pictures, the last memories I had of him, were gone. I had put them up in the living room, a small comfort in these trying times. But now, the walls were bare, as if he had never been a part of my life. I found Mrs. Harwood in the kitchen, smirking over a cup of coffee. "Where are my father's pictures?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked up, feigning confusion. "Pictures? Oh, those old things. We needed more space. This isn't a shrine, Emily." I felt a surge of anger, my hands trembling. "Those were my father's pictures. You had no right to take them down." She shrugged, her voice cold and dismissive. "They were depressing, always staring at us. It's time to move on, Emily. He's gone, and clinging to the past won't change that." I couldn't believe her cruelty. "You can't just erase him from my life. Those pictures were all I had left of him." She stood up, towering over me. "Your father has nothing to do with this house. It's time you accepted that and moved on. Just like your marriage, it's in the past now." I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something to show how much she had hurt me. But I knew that's what she wanted. So, I held back, biting my tongue. "You're heartless," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "I'm practical, Emily. It's a trait you clearly lack. You should learn to let go." I left the kitchen, my heart heavy with loss and anger. Mrs. Harwood had taken the last piece of my father from me, and it felt like losing him all over again. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the empty spaces on the walls echoing in my mind. Mrs. Harwood's words kept replaying in my head. Let go. Move on. But how could I? Those pictures were more than just images. They were a connection to my father, a reminder of his love and presence in my life. I knew then that this was more than just a battle over living space. It was a fight for my memories, my past, and my identity. Mrs. Harwood had declared war on the most personal parts of my life, and I couldn't let her win. I had to find a way to fight back, to reclaim my father's memory and my right to mourn him. It was a battle I couldn't afford to lose. Just when I thought all hope was lost, a call from a notary changed everything. I was sitting in my room, trying to muster the strength to face another day with Mrs. Harwood, when my phone rang. Mrs. Emily Harwood? This is John Carter, the notary handling your father's will. We need you to come in to discuss some important matters. The voice on the other end said. I was taken aback. My father's will? I wasn't aware he had left anything. Yes, he did. It's quite urgent. Can you come in today? Mr. Carter's tone was serious. I agreed, curiosity and a glimmer of hope stirring within me. Maybe this was the break I needed. At the notary's office, Mr. Carter handed me a folder. Your father left you a significant amount of money, Miss Emily, enough to start a new life. I was speechless. My father, always the quiet supporter, had given me a lifeline. And there's something else, Mr. Carter continued, handing me another set of documents. Your father left these for you. He said they were important. I opened the documents, but Mr. Carter stopped me. Perhaps you should look at these in private. They're quite personal. I nodded, clutching the folder tightly as I left the office. Back home, I locked myself in my room and began to read. The documents were records of financial transactions between my father and Mark. My father had lent Mark a significant amount of money, over $200,000. I couldn't believe it. All this time, Mark had been in debt to my father. Was this why he was so eager to divorce me after my father's death? Did he think the debt died with him? I felt a surge of strength. For the first time since this nightmare began, I had the upper hand. My father had given me more than just money. He had given me the power to fight back. I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. I was going to make Mark pay for his deceit, and Mrs. Harwood for her cruelty. The tables had turned, and it was my turn to set the rules. Armed with the truth about Mark's debt to my father, I felt a newfound sense of power. The day of the divorce signing, I was ready to turn the tables. As we sat in the lawyer's office, Mark and his mother smirking confidently, I waited for the right moment. Just as Mark was about to sign, I spoke up. Before we finalize this, there's something you should know, Mark, I said, sliding the loan documents across the table. He glanced at them, his smirk fading fast. What's this? I leaned back, feeling in control for the first time in months. That's the debt you owe my father, over $200,000. And now, it's owed to me. Mrs. Harwood's eyes widened in shock. What debt? Mark, what is she talking about? Mark's face was a mask of panic. It's nothing, Mom. Just some old business between Emily's dad and me. I laughed. So, you thought you'd get away with not repaying him? That's why you were so eager to get rid of me? Mark didn't meet my eyes. It's complicated, Emily. I was in trouble, and your dad offered to help. I shook my head, disgusted. You were going to leave me with nothing while sitting on a debt you owed my father. You're despicable. He tried to touch me, but I backed away. You've been hiding this. You owe me that money, and I intend to collect. The lawyer, a middle-aged man who had been silent till now, interjected. If these documents are legitimate, Mr. Mark, you're legally obligated to repay this debt. Mrs. Harwood turned to her son, her voice rising. You borrowed money from her father, and now we have to pay her? Mark tried to speak, but I was faster. Yes, he did, and he thought he could escape it by divorcing me quickly after my father's death. The room was tense, the air thick with the revelation. Mrs. Harwood looked from the documents to Mark, her expression one of betrayal and anger. You've been lying to us all along, she hissed at Mark. You put us in this mess. Mark's usual confident demeanor had crumbled. He looked defeated, cornered. I had no choice. I was in trouble, and Emily's dad offered to help. I stood up, feeling a rush of satisfaction. Well, now you can repay that help. Every single dollar. You thought you could outsmart me, but you were wrong. Mrs. Harwood was fuming. We'll fight this. We won't let you take everything from us. But I knew I had the upper hand. You can try, but the law is on my side. I suggest you start figuring out how you're going to repay the debt. As I walked out of the lawyer's office, I felt a sense of triumph. For so long, I had been under Mark and his mother's control, their whims and cruelty dictating my life. But now, the tables had turned. I had them right where I wanted, and I wasn't going to let them off easy. This was my chance to get back what I was owed, and I was going to take it. The day Mark and Mrs. Harwood sold the house to repay the debt was the day I finally felt free. As they packed their last boxes, I couldn't help but savor the moment. "You brought this on yourself, Mark," I said, watching him struggle with a heavy box. "You could have been honest with me." He avoided my gaze, his shoulders slumped. "I know. I'm sorry, Emily." Mrs. Harwood, looking older and more defeated than ever, chimed in. "This is all your fault. You've ruined everything." I shook my head, no longer affected by her words. "No, Mrs. Harwood, you two did this to yourselves. I'm just claiming what's rightfully mine." They left without another word, and I watched as their car disappeared down the road. It was the end of an era, one filled with pain and betrayal, but also growth and resilience. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past months lift off my shoulders. It was time to start anew. With the money from my father and the repaid debt, I bought a small, cozy house, just for me and Whiskers, who I had brought back home. Sitting in my new living room, Whiskers purring on my lap, I called Sarah, my friend who had helped me through the darkest times. "Hey, Sarah, it's done. I'm finally free," I said, a smile spreading across my face. Sarah's voice was warm and excited. "That's amazing, Emily. I'm so proud of you. You've come so far." I looked around my new home, a sense of peace settling over me. "I have, and it's all thanks to people like you, who stood by me." "You deserve all the happiness in the world, Emily. What's next for you?" Sarah asked. I thought for a moment. A fresh start. Building a life that's truly mine. And maybe helping others who've been through what I have. As I hung up, I realized that this was more than just a new house. It was a new chapter, one where I was in control, free from the shadows of the past. I had not only survived, I had come out stronger. I stood up, Whiskers following me as I walked to the window, looking out at my small garden. It was a new beginning, a chance to rebuild and to find joy in the simple things. I had lost much, but I had gained even more, a sense of self, strength, and the courage to move forward. This was my story, my journey, and it was just beginning.